It was like, man, you should come try out. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, dude, y'all don't win. I can't do it, right? Like, I can't be a part of non-winning culture.
You see blood just go everywhere. We took his title.
Wow, what a story. Let's go to the court. Mackie Shilstone has spent more than 4 decades helping elite athletes become stronger, perform longer, and achieve what many thought was impossible. From championship boxers and Hall of Famers to Serena Williams and Peyton Manning, Mackie has built a career around performance, longevity, and his unmistakable brand of energy and motivation. Now his son Spencer is helping carry that work into a new generation through Fit Fête, a citywide celebration of health, competition, teamwork, and community, coming to New Orleans this November. Mackie and Spencer Shilstone join us to talk about champions, family, healthy aging, and their vision for a fitter New Orleans. All right, how y'all doing, guys?
We're doing fine.
Doing well.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. Mackie, let's start with you. Your story began as an undersized walk-on football player at Tulane. How did that experience shape you, this determination that you have, this relentless energy that you have, that you still associate not only yourself as a person, but how you give that to so many people?
Well, you know, first it's a blessing, and you're very kind to have myself and, of course, my son, who's, as you say, the next generation. But, you know, it starts where I really had to prove something to myself. During the Vietnam War, I went off to military school. My father was highly decorated in combat, fought against the Japanese and the Germans, graduated from Tulane Chemical Engineering, went to school in Germany before the war broke out, and for graduate work, spoke German fluently, and actually met my mother there. My mother was graduated from University of Missouri and was on a school event over in Germany. And my mother thought that my father was a German officer because he had to wear the uniform with no insignias. Lo and behold, my father would go into combat as a lieutenant, then moved to a captain and took over the 94th Chemical Mortar Battalion. He had to do things that many of the heroes of our country did, that it was very tough for them to experience. And I saw firsthand, before there were any definitions, the effects of the trauma of war. And I was just a little boy, and my father was the bravest man I ever knew, and he was kind to me. But it was truly rough. And I had to prove something, that I was worthy to be my father's son. Mm. Where did that come? I lived across the street from Tulane Stadium, and I built a gym in the back of my house. And I called it the Boulevard Gym. It's on Audubon Boulevard. And I would walk over, and I said, I want to walk on to Tulane University and give it a try. And, you know, I was 5'8" and 143 pounds, and I was always the last person picked on the team. I was very fit, but I was small. And I would run up and down Audubon Boulevard, and the stadium was just on the other side because the Tulane Stadium was there. And I would put on leg weights, and I said, someday I will play in that stadium. I will make it. And bottom line, I did. And it turns out that my gym on Audubon Boulevard became the workout for Tulane University. We didn't have one, and the team would come over with me because I was now earned a spot on the team, third team, and work out. And then during Super Bowl IX, the Pittsburgh Steelers used my gym because it was right across the street from Tulane Stadium. Louis Rickey was the strength coach from New Orleans. They're working out there. Then comes in Arnold Schwarzenegger pumping iron. He comes to my gym. Later, I would work with Arnold, Terminator, and
That's full circle.
It just would lead to other things. I became the graduate assistant defensive backfield coach at Tulane and built the first weight room and raised the money. And then my father says, it's time for you to figure out what you're going to do. And if it weren't for a change in my life where I could help to make history in the world of sports, you wouldn't be sitting here talking to me.
Wow, and what you saw early on was the potential of something, of
Well,
yourself, and what you built for the Tulane football team.
Well, you know, it's so funny. They would laugh at me because I was 143 pounds, and the strength coach, Rick Yard, was the athletic director, and they named me as the strength coach at Tulane at 143 pounds.
Amazing. Interesting in all that is that you played in the original Tulane Stadium.
I did.
I think a lot of people watching probably never experienced that the original Tulane Stadium. That had to be something special.
Well, it was interesting because it was the largest steel structure in the country at the time, a stadium, and my father was part of building it. I lived across the street from it, so I grew up in the earshot of the stadium. And I used to run the stadium bleacher steps and jump the fence to jump and run up and down the steps. And we would practice right after the Saints games, and I was sitting leaning back in the bleachers right on the side of the field like our team was, because we have a Sunday practice.
Yeah.
And we watched Tom Dempsey kick his field goal. Later, I would help Jason Elam to tie his record.
Wow.
It's amazing how that would happen.
Yeah. You know, you've mentioned some names here, and you've worked with some of the greatest athletes in the world. What separates a true champion from someone who simply has extraordinary talent? What is that? What is that difference?
Well, we were talking about one of my players beforehand, and that was Ozzie Smith. And what I got a call from Ozzie after I had helped Michael Spinks make history in boxing as part of a team, and then took on the project for Abe Pollin, Manute Bol, the tallest man in the NBA, and put 38 pounds on him. So Ozzie Smith calls me. It was Mike Claiborne, actually a radio host at KMOX, and he said, Ozzie, you got to go to Mackie. Well, Ozzie comes in, and Ozzie came in with and I said, Ozzie, what do you want me for? And he says, you know, Mackie, he's the highest paid baseball player at the time, and he was known for defensive skills. I want to be known for some offensive skills. I said, what if I gave you the offense, but you lost the Golden Gloves you've been winning? He says, oh, wow, I can't do that. Long story short, I had him at the age of 30. I went on, I said, how many more years you want to play? He says, I want 3. We went on for 11 more years. His batting average went to 289 after the age of 30. But to answer your question, I would watch Ozzie in spring training because I would go down there to the Cactus League and live in his home and come back and work with him because there were no strength and conditioning people at the time. And I don't think I ever was that. I was performance. But Ozzie would sit after practice for an hour walking around signing autographs. The other players had gone in ready to go play golf, and I perennially would watch him talk to children and whatever. And traveling with Serena Williams, I wasn't a day-to-day person for her, but I did 14 years with her, and I did 75 days a year. And Serena would sit out there, and all these little girls and the moms would come up. Of course, she's a female athlete. And she would sit there and she would talk to the children. And I realized I had helped over 3,000 professional athletes. And I would judge the true champions about what they did off the field, because that was the complete athlete. Mm-hmm. The athlete is, we're all athletes. Some of us just train more than others. And I see that as the difference. I will tell you now in professional sports, I think gambling is going to screw it up. I see it happening in baseball. I worked 21 years for the commissioner's office in Major League Baseball with the umpires. In 3 years, you won't have an umpire behind the plate. That's so that they can gamble between pitches. You're seeing in professional sports now, the tennis serve got to be done in 20 seconds. The pitch has got to be thrown in 30 seconds, and it's controlled gambling. That's my humble opinion. Yeah. But the true athlete is the athlete that will take time to give back.
Thank you for that. Of all the athletes you've trained, who has challenged you the most?
Oh, wow. Each one possesses unique challenges. Let's take professional boxing. I started in it. What people may not know, that paragraph 7 of the contract, at least it used to, that if you kill a man in the ring, you won't go to jail. And let me tell you how that is a challenge, because I was part of the Bo Galata fight in Madison Square Garden. Madison Square Garden did not provide enough security. They just had basic security, no police security. Mm-hmm. A riot broke out between our teams outside the ring. But Galata had gangs come and to support him, and it was so bad that the idea was the challenges that you can kill someone, but outside the ring, when the riot broke out afterwards, people went to jail. But inside the ring, you can kill someone. So I trained, and people won't necessarily understand this. My mantra is train like you fight, fight like you train. I trained to kill the opponent. Now, we broke Holofield's ribs. We fractured Tarver's jaw. We broke the nose of John Ruiz, and I specifically trained to do that. And the story behind John Ruiz was the game changer that helped Roy Jones win the title. I don't know if you want me to tell you that story, but that involved a little bit of blood. You see, I think you're holding back.
I think you're going there.
Okay. Well, you want to go there? Well, here, how about this? If you're in professional boxing, what you come to realize is the most important piece of equipment you have is the mouthpiece. If you bite down on the mouthpiece, your TMJ joint comes in. And for all you people out there listening that do bench presses and want to get stronger, take 2 tongue depressors, tape them together on the ends, put them in the back and bite down on your back teeth. Your bench press will go up. Well, I knew this. And I studied the opponent. I'm fairly brutal. I will look into every aspect of the opponent, their strengths and weaknesses, and I go to attack their strength so the weaknesses show up. Mm-hmm. And the bottom line to this, Ruiz had broken his nose when he took Holofield's title for the heavyweight champion. And I knew that if I could break his nose again, he would have to do one thing. He'd have to breathe through his mouth. He would have to open his mouth. He couldn't bite down on his mouthpiece. He would lose strength. So we trained. I researched for talking to ear, nose, and throat specialists on how do you break a nose, and they thought I was crazy. Mm-hmm. But I said, no, I got to break it, and I trained to do that. In the 6th round, if you go watch on YouTube now for that fight, you'll see Jim Lampley says his nose is smashed. I was working the corner. I was telling Roy, let's keep faking into the chest. Now, he had a coach, but I'm saying fake into the chest. He'll cover up. He'll open his nose, his hand. He'll drop his right hand and smash him. 6th round, I said, Roy, he's ready for it. 6th round, you see blood just go everywhere. We took his title.
Wow, what a story. Let's go to the court. Your relationship with Serena Williams, and I'm glad you mentioned that earlier about how she took time and how she takes time with her fans and her followers outside of her work. You became much more than a trainer of the athlete. You officiated at her wedding.
Right, right.
That closeness, how did that professional relationship grow into that became what lifelong friends.
Well, it was Serena at that time was coming off a loss of her sister to a gunshot violence in Compton, California. One of her sisters, that is. I had helped Riddick Bowe win the world heavyweight title. I had helped so many people win the titles moving up. And so Rock Newman was the manager of Riddick Bowe. Rock Newman was also the public relations person in my first camp with Michael Spinks. Riddick Bowe, we won the world heavyweight title. It turns out that Orleans Price, Serena's mother, is best friends with Cora Berry. Cora Berry was the head of the boxing commission in Washington, D.C. Mark, you might remember the name Marion Berry.
Yes,
that was his wife.
Oh.
So I had, when I was helping Michael as a light heavyweight, making weight, your body weight of 175 or less, showed respect to the commission. Well, we were facing Eddie Mustafa, and Eddie didn't make weight, and it was truly an insult. And we did, and Cora never forgot that when I came in with, we did. Well, Rock Newman said, Mackie, I think you can really help Serena Williams. She's coming off trauma. He calls Cora. Cora knows me from boxing. Cora tells Orleans. So Orleans calls me. Orleans is a nurse. I came in right after that, you know, the Richard Williams Serena and Venus story. I came in straight after 2007, and so I end up. Orleans likes me. Then Richard Williams calls me, and I said, "Yes, Mr. Williams, yes, sir." So Serena had just played and was bounced out of the tournament in Australia. She calls up from Australia, can I come in to see you? Well, it was during Mardi Gras. And so I get a hotel reservation out at the Hilton or the Lakeway, out at Lakeway Plaza to get away from Mardi Gras. And I paid for it. I said, someone's coming to see me. I want to take care of this. So Serena comes in. She comes in with one of her girlfriends. She's half asleep. I got her a suite. We're sitting on the couch talking. She's dozing off because she's just come out of Australia. I said, come on, Serena, let's go down the back way to New Orleans on Esplanade. We'll go there. And so I took her down the back way. We ate at Cafe Degas. So you see, there's my food place, okay?
Right.
Although I don't eat what I eat there, okay, because you would never like it. But anyway, we go down. I take her in the back way. We do that. And then a week, 2 weeks later, she says, would you come help me? And it started. I was doing 75 days a year. You see, I was Special Forces. Jim Finks, a former general manager, well, you know, from your Saints work. He says, I said, Mr. Finks, why don't you let me help your team? He says, Mackie, you're the guy we come to when we have trouble. You're the SWAT team. I said, okay. And I took her, that's what I was. So I'd get the call. I started coming in to get her ready for tournaments. Richard Williams, I started with, went for 8 years with him. He says, Mackie, Serena never tell you this, but the only reason she won this tournament here is because of you. I saw Mr. Williams, I'm just a member of your team. He says, well, Mackie, you do things that I've never seen before, and it works. And I have to tell you, she's not going to tell you. And so it was one night, I don't know what year it was, because I did 14 years with her. I was having a book come out, one of my books, and I text her, because Serena taught me to text, because she didn't like on the phone. My son didn't teach me to text, or my other son, who's a digital media expert, didn't teach me. Serena did. Serena put me on Instagram. I said, I'm not going to do this. Yes, you will. And so she set me up on all of that. Well, I don't do it, but the bottom line was the experience. I knew I had her trust. She says, you're the only person I'll trust Chip with. And until Spencer came along, Chip was her little dog, and I knew that had hit home. But I came in to correct problems. And Richard Williams says, when Serena's on the court, Mackie, there's nobody with her. She's all alone. And they're great coaches that had an impact on me. Richard Williams was one, because when he started, you know why he said I wanted my daughters to play? Because the people in tennis, the girls playing, he's talking about the girls, he says they make more money than I make. And he was a security guard in a business. And during the day, he would take her on the court. He learned tennis. He learned it from the grassroots up, like I learned what I needed to learn. And I watched the evolution and was blessed to be part of 16 of her 23 slams.
Yeah.
Wins.
Amazing. What a great story. And that relationship continues to this very day.
Well, yeah, but although she would say, you know, Mackie, I don't really like seeing you. I love you, but when I see you, I know it's going to
no
be
problem.
too hard. You know, it's going to be hard, you know.
So you've helped all these wonderful athletes, but, you know, you also inspire people who are in their 50s, 60s, and older, 70s. What do you tell them? How should they be focused on their own well-being?
Well, you know, Mark, sitting right here, you were kind enough to give me the Mark Romig Show cup, which has, of course, water in it for me, and I assume my son too, of course.
Yes.
But you see, this is a tangible object, so I can put it in my hands and I can feel it, I can see it, I can touch it. And what struck me a long time ago when I was a kid and watched Prudential life insurance is something that you may sign a piece of paper, but you hope you never use it, but you pay a significant amount for it. Your health, your car, your home, your liability, whatever. But Prudential life insurance would have that rock. And you remember the commercial, the rock would move? Because they sold it as a tangible item. So what I realized was I had to sell the intangible of something you can't see, you hope helps you, but you'll never actually put your hands around, and I had to sell it as a tangible. And the way I looked upon it was we have 3 ages. We have a chronological age. I'm 75. And we have a performance age. Well, according to the diagnostics in the laboratories that I put myself through in testing, I have the fitness level of a 37-year-old fit person. I have the fitness level just below a starting pitcher in the major leagues. And you realize, like my father had to do in this situation I learned later from my West Point graduate uncle. My father had to move into a room clearing a house during World War II. And there was an enemy person in there, and only one person walked out. And I'm alive today, although he had to do a lot of other things from that. And it taught me, you walk into a room and you're up against an opponent on the court, on the basketball court, it doesn't make a difference if they're 50 years old or 20 years old. Only one of you walks out a winner. And I've had my share of losses, but when it comes to my life, you have a chronological age, a performance age, and a health age. And good old Charlie Mary, the great gastroenterologist, and you know, he was my father's doctor, was my doctor, and so forth. He said, Mackie, you don't want good blood chemistries, you want great blood chemistries. So strive for perfection and accept only excellence.
Very good. I'll take your advice. All right, let's transition over to Spencer. Now, Mackie, you've spent your career helping people reach their potential. Spencer, you are now taking on that role in health and performance and teamwork and longevity and working with the program coming up called Fit Fête. We want to get into that. But before we get to that event, I want to talk to you about growing up in this gentleman's household.
Okay.
What were the breakfast conversations like? I mean, are you going to get up and do something today, son? What are you going to do?
Oh, I mean, when I was very young, it would be more about, like, you know, what was my schoolwork and everything. He would always be training. My bedroom was right next to the gym, so I would always hear the treadmill going and everything like that. And I would have to like hide and run down the steps so I can go have my breakfast because I wanted to have, fun cereal or anything like that wasn't, just straight fiber. So get that in real quick. But a lot of people don't realize this. He would actually take me to Camellia Grill as a kid. So he does allow, a hamburger or two. But
Not in me.
not in you. And I think I was like 12 years old when I had my very first hot dog. I thought like all the other times I was having them, I was like, it's okay. But I went to a Zephyrs game and had a real Frank hot dog and came home and I was like, what is this? This was amazing. So there's some balance to it.
Were there pep talks in the morning? Or
Yeah, but more so, I didn't like to get out of bed, so it was more get out of bed so you can go to class and do everything.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, let's talk about Fit Fête. It's the
Okay.
first time it's happening. It's November 13th and 14th.
Correct.
What will people see at Tad Gormley Stadium? What will be happening at Tad Gormley?
So Fit Fête's a combination. It's the New Orleans Community Games, which is New Orleans and Company putting that on. They were kind enough to come reach out to us about being spokesman for it, but also be more engaged with it. And the community games are going to be November 13th, and it's corporate games versus each other. So it's business to business, but also business versus business. So it's a fun way to teach people about health and wellness, keep them engaged, and have some competition going. So there's going to be games like softball, pickleball. I believe there's going to be like a ninja Olympic course that they're going to have set up, which I'm very excited about. Here we go. We also have basketball, flag football, tennis as well. And then they're doing, up until that point, there's 12 weeks of challenges that we're going to be doing. Because if you want to get people to understand health and wellness and be engaged by it, they have to have a really good positive experience. And when you have that, you're more willing to take what you learned and integrate it in your life. So they challenged me to create 12 weeks of challenges, put that all together that cross over not just fitness or nutrition, but wellness as a whole. So it's 8 different categories. And over that 12-week period, you're going to learn about yourself. You'll be able to assess yourself, understand what your VO2 max is, but what is that? And why is it important for you? And see where you are at the end of that, at the end of the challenges, and compare yourself to the rest of the people that did it. Anyone that does that assessment at the end of it, we'll see what the average is for the city. So we're going to understand what the city is as a whole.
So you're really kind of benchmarking so that this is, as it will be successful, and the next year you've got something that you can build off of.
We can see how the city grows each time. And these challenges lead to the leaderboard that's going to then set the staging for the actual community games. So be engaged over those 12 weeks because it's going to affect who you play in those community games.
Like that. Mackie?
Let me just add to that. Spencer created this unique app that you can take command and control. You can stop ranting your health. You can own it. But Fit Fête is probably the biggest, most comprehensive wellness team participation of any event in my lifetime that I have seen. And I've been in this business for 43 years. Spencer's talking about the corporate games. They're actually community games. And the urging is to get as many people. If you're not a member of a corporate group, then you can register. You can sign up. You can learn about it at NOLAfitfet.com. The key is, you've talked to me about all the teams I've been on. You can create your own team. You can be part of a company. And the greatest thing that ever happened to me in my life as an only child, from what I've told you about, was when I could be part of a team. And this is a chance where everyone can excel. There's no losers. There's points that you can build over the 12 weeks, but you can go on and participate in all types of events on the 13th. There's also open to the public on the 13th and the 14th.
The 14th is the Wellnex Festival.
Right. Well, actually, it's both days, and it's 13th and 14th. The Wellnex Festival, Walt Leger deserves a tremendous amount of credit. That's the CEO, of course, of New Orleans and Company, right? Because he said New Orleans needs to create its own magic over and above what your organization is selling. And he got Sam Joffrey. And Sam came from the Sports Foundation, then goes on to put on Super Bowls.
Las Vegas, right?
In Las Vegas. And then
many here.
And then Mike Millay, who was a co-founder of the Sports Foundation, along with, God rest his soul, Merv Trail, that brought me into LSU Medical Center years ago. And now you have a team. You have Dr. Jennifer Avegno from the assistant mayor and the health director, and you have Stevie Carr. Stevie Carr and Mike Millay are the ones behind Wellnex. This is the most comprehensive compilation over 2 days on Tad Gormley Stadium that is open to you. Over 50 different events, speakers. You can see everything inclusive in wellness, and you don't have to pay anything. And then Bill Burke, who is really the man responsible for the New Orleans Marathon, has brought it back. You're going to have a marathon, half marathon, a 5K, it's 3.2 miles, and a relay marathon. That will all go on Saturday the 14th. And this is a race that's been now certified as a Boston Marathon flat course.
Fantastic.
So it's everything, and urging companies to just register and let your people compete.
And companies of any size.
Any size.
Any size
And
can join.
any fitness level, right, of the
Any
individuals.
fitness level, and the companies are going to be in divisions. So we're going to make sure that a smaller company is not going to be going against a larger company, but they will be able to see how they compete on the leaderboard. And the other thing that I love about this is New Orleans is known about, food culture, and we do everything in excess, but here we are being one of the first cities that's going to put on a wellness event at this level.
Yeah.
And really be able to take on teaching like that New Orleans culture, that New Orleans food, but also make it a healthy way that I can even get him to eat it.
Yeah, but Marco, I don't leave it with this, that you say fitness, but it's so much more. It's mind, body, it's emotional. And Spencer's challenges, and even on the day of the 13th and 14th with the wellness, which is inside City Park, major pavilions, tents, speakers, yoga, everything, is that there's nutrition. So his challenges, and they progress every week, might be like what? Make your own granola.
So, well, yeah, that's one of the, could be a challenge like that. So think of it in a sense that, like, in financial health, your emotional health, and your fitness and nutrition health, one of the challenges I was thinking of was find something that you have every single day and look at how you can make not only a cheaper version at home, but a healthier version. For me, that was I go to French Truck and I get yogurt parfait every day with my dog. And at a certain point, I was like, I can probably make this at home. It's really good. So I took my notepad. I wrote about, like, what did I like about it? Do I like the granola aspect because it's got that crunch factor? Or is it more about the just sitting over at a coffee shop with my dog and it's the experience? So I have to understand, is this an emotional thing that I want? Is this a nutritional thing? So I now went and figured out how to make my own granola. The recipe is going to be in the challenge app for everybody. It's 20 grams of protein per serving and 10 grams of fiber. You don't get that from granola you get at the grocery store. Not even close. It's loaded with sugar. So it's a healthier option. It's much cheaper. I've figured out I'm actually saving like $80 a month. So this is good for financial.
All apologies to French Truck.
I know. Well, I still go there. And I do my work
And you
there.
think I kill eating in the city?
But my point is that, like, when you can find one small thing and make a
And
little bit
create
of a
it
change,
yourself, yeah.
you're compounding on it, though. It's 3 different habits that were stacked together that make just a better alternative to something that you could do each and every day.
So I'm challenging you.
That's
75-year-old man is challenging
I like the
you.
fact that you've got 2 generations of Shilstones here.
Oh, and he's going to be on the Maxwell
making
Nutrition
New Orleans
team, so they can compete with us.
Yeah. I mean,
Better.
come beat up on me. I've been beaten up on too many people.
What's your wishes for the community going forward with this?
I wish that New Orleans, we're a wonderful town. I'm like you, born and raised here. We have our own healthcare challenges here. That's an interesting story. That's maybe another time. But this is a chance where you can stop renting your health. You can own it, and you can be guided, and it's not going to cost you anything. And, sometimes if, in sports they say if it's for free, it's for me. But in this particular case, I'll say this. I say it to myself every day. If you ask yourself how you want to die, you'll understand how you're going to live. And when you think that the number one admit in New Orleans is chest pain in the hospitals, number one admit, and that EMS, because I've helped EMS as a volunteer, EMS rolls out for one of the top reasons is to give diabetes education. That's not what they're supposed to do. And you have a chance to now take ownership of your health and increase your health age, lower your health age, increase your health index, and look for one thing: compressed morbidity. The shortest period of illness pushed way at the end of your life. That's called quality of life.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate y'all. I think giving New Orleans or inspiring New Orleans to be better by the work that y'all do, and what this Fit Fête will do. And we look forward to talking more about that as we get closer to that as well.
Well, God bless New Orleans.
It's now time for the official New Orleans Questionnaire.
Don't ask me about food. Okay.
Well, you can always defer to Spencer on this. This official New Orleans Questionnaire is presented by Bienville Capital Group. They're helping families and businesses build a plan and achieve their financial goals with personalized guidance. More information available at bienvillecapitalgroup.com. Mackie and Spencer, are you ready?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so once again, knowing how you may be answering or not answering, Mackie, you can defer to your son.
Can I take the Fifth Amendment?
You could, but the first question right out of the gate, I got to ask you, what is the best poor boy?
What's a po' boy?
Did I say po' boy or poor boy?
But it doesn't make a difference.
Doesn't
I don't
make a
eat
difference
it.
for him.
All right, you don't eat it, but
No.
Spencer?
I love going to Parkway, getting a roast beef po' boy.
All right, do you take it dressed?
I do.
All right, thank you. See how we can do this? You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
defer. All right.
I'm a show killer, you know.
You know you're not. We've had enough talking about killing in the show already. All right.
This is what my life is
You
like.
have the opportunity to see one New Orleans musical artist, dead or alive, in concert. Who would it be and where would you go?
Well,
Louis
I
Armstrong.
had I have to defer to the Nevilles because I had art in my program,
Okay.
so I would have to say
You go Art Neville.
Yeah.
Louis Armstrong.
Louis Armstrong. All right. Very good. Your favorite New Orleans smell?
the sweat off my back when I know I've worked out hard.
A really good crawfish boil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Those are two different answers.
Totally different things.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's
good.
about the 80-20 rule. Like
I don't think
20%
we'll ever
enjoyment.
experience what he just said.
No,
But
but he eats crawfish with me.
Okay. Very good.
Low sodium.
We just could never boil it because my mom's
Well,
allergic to
he
crawfish.
did a caveat.
Yeah.
Caveat. Mackie said low sodium.
Yeah.
All right. Mardi Gras or Jazz Fest?
Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras.
What is your favorite gumbo? Seafood or chicken?
Chicken and andouille gumbo. With a really dark rib.
Okay.
Well,
Thank
it
you,
would
Spencer.
be either one, but no cornstarch, no dyes, no sodium. But other than that, it's great.
Great.
He eats my gumbo, so
There's a word called buzzkiller. I have to say. I was hungry for a moment. All right. Your Saints Mount Rushmore. Who's on your Saints Mount Rushmore? And you can each have one. You can each have a mountain.
Well, because I grew up with him in the sense that when I was at Tulane, the Saints would throw passes. We were behind Tulane Stadium, and boy, we got to line up with Danny Abramowitz, and I'm standing behind Danny, and Steve Foley or Terry Looney, the Saints Tulane quarterbacks, were there, and there was Archie Manning. And Archie would throw passes to me. I'd catch Archie's passes, and I thought it was great. Little would I ever know that I would go on to help Peyton Manning in his last year. I would help Eli in high school, and I would actually help Archie in his transition after the Saints.
Wow. So Archie would be on it.
Archie would be it because of my personal
You
relationship.
got 2 or 3 more you want to put up there?
Morden.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking I'm trying to go in chronology, but yes, because I had Morton for 17 years.
Okay, so Archie Manning, Morton Anderson.
Morton Anderson, and well, I had 20 NFL field goal kickers. So Tommy Barnhart, the punter. I had punters in the NFL.
Okay.
I had about 10 of those. My guys still hold many of the records and I had like Dan Skorzinski, Alabama, Atlanta. But I had, I think Tommy Barnhart, Morton Anderson, and Archie Manning.
Very good. All right, Spencer.
Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, Cam Jordan, and Morton Anderson.
Very good. Beautiful. All right. We did the gumbo thing. All right. What is your favorite New Orleans movie or TV series?
Treme. That was just an amazing show when it came out.
Well, you know, it's interesting you say that because John Goodman was one of my clients. John Goodman is a chapter in my book. I helped John Goodman to lose 125 pounds. The story, and it's true, John Goodman, before Katrina, lost 85 pounds with me, and then gained it back. So Sandy was, you know, my wife Sandy was in the position that you held for many years.
Shilstone.
And so I asked her. We lived down the street. John and I lived in the Garden District, and I got permission to go in the cemetery across from Commanders, and I went in with a shovel. This is a true story. It's in my book, and I was pretty well fed up. And I walked in with John. I said, John, you got to come with me. And we walked in. There was an empty plot there because we had made sure. And I said, John, you really know who I am? And you know, I think God played along with me because you couldn't hear cars. It's a true story. You couldn't hear trees. You couldn't hear anything. He says, what do you want me to do? I said, I want you to dig your grave. He says, you're kidding. I said, no.
Wow.
I want you to get in there, and I want shovels going. I want you to dig in your grave. And I said, now, you really understand who I am? I said, I'm death. And this isn't anything personal. I've seen everyone you know go. I'm not bad. I'm not good. I'm just a messenger. And I said, I'm going to give you a chance. You continue to dig that grave, and you have a choice. If you can't cut it and lose the weight with my help, then lay down, I'll cover you over, and I'll be done with you. I got a lot of work. I said, if you can, I want you to fill it back in. Bring the shovel on Monday when we start. He told me later, Mackie, you changed my life. He said, you took off 125 pounds. But years and years ago, you remember Jennifer Holliday, the Broadway actress?
Sure.
Dreamgirl, I helped her lose 100 pounds.
You didn't make her dig her own grave.
No, but it was worse. You know, I told her how she was going to die, and she believed me.
About pep talks, right?
But it worked, and I will resort to almost any end within the rules of the game, or life, or the law to achieve my objective.
Right. Well, it's transformational.
Right. So John Goodman and Treme.
Wow. All right. Neutral ground or sidewalk side?
Oh, neutral ground. That's wow.
Well, I'm going to take neutral.
See how I did that?
I'm going to take neutral ground because I wear holes in the neutral ground running on it.
Oh, okay. Very good. Your earliest memory of visiting the French Quarter? Now, I know there's a Shilstone connection.
My mom grew up in the French Quarter.
The
and their house was
Siaka
family, their house
right?
was off of Ursuline in Bourbon Street. And I remember as a kid, we would drive to my grandfather's house, and we would drive down Bourbon Street. And my mom would do everything she could to like cover my brother and I's faces and not understand what was going on every single time we would go see our grandfather. Could have just taken a different route.
The legs coming out of the window.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah.
Well, typical. My father owned Shilstone Testing Laboratory. It was 814 Conti Street. On the corner was the famous door. my 8th birthday party was at the famous store. Oh yeah, and somehow my fake ID got me and 6 of my friends in, and we were served there.
You knew the bouncers.
Yeah, we were the new bouncer. Little did I know I would become a bouncer later in my life of the opponent. But that 8th grade famous store.
Very good. All right, here's one. Dead or alive, who is the one person you'd like to take to lunch, and where in New Orleans would you take them?
I definitely want to be Tyler Shuck because I want to meet him and pick his brain about the Saints. But where would I take him? Pappy went to Drago's the first time.
All right.
I would take him to Superior Seafood and compare oysters.
Very good. All right, so Tyler Shuck to Superior Seafood. And he's been on the show, so maybe we can make sure he sees this, and
Absolutely,
he'll be looking
please
for a lunch or a dinner with you. Mackie?
Marcus Aurelius, 365 BC, former one of the greatest Roman emperors ever to come, because he unified that. It's a tag team because I read her biography. I met her in another life, was Cleopatra, because she was able to unify Egypt between 2 warring parties. Eventually, it cost her her life, but Alexander was one of had the greatest sanitation system, had some of the greatest businesses, and to this day, Cleopatra's gravesite has never been found. It's one of the greatest mysteries in archaeology, and she's married to her prime romance, although she had a child with Caesar, with what's his name, her other consort, Marcus, or not
Aurelius?
Not Aurelius. Mark Anthony, thanks.
There you go.
See, the little voice in my senile head came in and said,
so is going to, where would you take them to lunch?
Where
or
would
dinner?
I'd
that's
take
great.
them, I'd probably take them to Satsuma Maple, because they'll do an egg white. They put up with me. They put mushrooms and do it. I said no butter, dry wheat toast, plain yogurt, none of that.
You notice that
And
he said that they put up with me?
and I probably do. I'd probably do that. I go there on Sundays. Sometimes my wife will go with me, but it's kind of boring. But
All right, thank you. What is your favorite New Orleans song, either a song by a New Orleans artist or a song about New Orleans?
Twist and shout, chubby checker,
Okay,
because you get your hips moving and exercise.
of course, it's
I'm
got.
good with that one.
That's good. That's good for Fit Fête. Chubby Checker and Fit Fête. Checkers. All right. What is the one New Orleans food item you can't live without? Spencer, we'll start with you.
Oh, it's gumbo.
Gumbo.
I judge a restaurant on their gumbo.
Mackie.
Air.
Okay.
No.
How many calories
Very,
in air?
very plain grilled chicken with just a little bit of olive oil, no salt, and a little bit of pepper. I got them to
Not
have
a little,
blackened
maybe
salmon
slap your
yesterday.
mama on it or something like that?
Well, no, I can't do
No.
it. No.
If it's got salt, no. But I've made some food for him recently where we're adding more seasonings and everything that eventually
Well,
he'll
he's
be
a
able to go to a restaurant.
37-year-old athlete. You got to take
Yeah.
care of him.
Well, my
Gotta do
wife
it.
told me something just now, and I came back from Cape Cod just recently, and I had to have lobster plain in a salad with a Paul Newman kind of vinaigrette dressing, and I was told that both Fresh Market and Whole Food have a seafood salad. Now I'll have to go in there and have a little talk with them about what they do. They would have to use mayonnaise only with olive oil based. But maybe I can.
Do you make your own mayonnaise?
No, God no. It's available now with olive oil. You
Okay.
know. But I don't use it normally. I'm just
You're not using
mustard.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right. Final question. In 5 words or less, this is to each one of you. Why do you love New Orleans?
How strong our community is.
Very good.
The people are the strength and character of our community.
Thank you.
I hit it in 5 words.
You're very good. Both of y'all did fine. Y'all both love the city. We know that. Thank y'all so much for what y'all are doing. And thank you for bringing us the message of Fit Fête. That's
Thank you
going
for
to be
having us.
a game changer, I think, for our community.
Well, but look, it started with New Orleans and company. So the credit has to be for the person that recognizes change, and then, the difference between the farmer and the farmer called the cow, called the hog, and he called the chicken together, and said, "I need you to give something for breakfast." And the chicken says, "I'll give a contribution of the egg." And the hog says, "I'll give a commitment of the bacon." I think New Orleans Company gave the commitment of the bacon. Mm-hmm. Not that I would eat it, but the fact is they started this ball rolling. This is the first event. Let's make it. This is like the first year of the Saints.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep the ball alive.
Very good. And get information at NOLAFitFet.com.
NOLAFitFet.com. And if you want to, Jay Terrio at New Orleans.
But her email address is
if you want to register, just register. Come out, be part of it.
Y'all are really good together. That's excellent. But thank y'all so much.
Thank you. God bless you. God bless
making
New
things
Orleans.
happen here. It's November 13th and 14th, Tad Gormley Stadium. So much going on.
And the lead up 12 weeks before.
That's right. That's right.
Began
Check
August
in now.
24th, and it's live the entire time. So if you join late, you can still go back and do the previous challenges and go from there.
Great. Thanks for coaching us on this. Appreciate it. Thank y'all again for everything.
Oh, thank
Thank you
you.
for having
Great
us.
for being with y'all.
Go Saints, huh? The
Go
voice
Saints.
of the Saints.
That's right.
Huh?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I have a good feeling about the season.
Oh, that's good.
Thank
That's
y'all,
good.
guys. Appreciate it. Wow. What a time there with Mackie and Spencer Shilstone. Now, still ahead, Super Bowl champion Greg Fassitt takes us inside the pressure of training camp with the NFL and his work with professional athletes. Kim Priez with New Orleans & Company serves up everything you need to know about COOLinary New Orleans. And Dr. David Houghton with Ochsner joins us for 5 minutes with. Stay with us. Move the chains! Ladies and gentlemen, today on Move the Chains, we're joined by New Orleans native and Super Bowl champion Greg Fassitt. After playing at John F. Kennedy High School and Grambling State, Greg entered the NFL as an undrafted free agent and eventually returned home to become part of the Saints' historic 2009 championship season. Today, he brings the lessons he learned in football into the corporate world, helping athletes, leaders, and organizations unlock the champion within. Greg, welcome to the show. It's so good to have you here.
It's so good to be here. I love the energy. I love everything we talked about pre-camera.
Let's talk about your beginning.
Yeah.
Before Grambling State, before the NFL, and that Super Bowl championship, let's go to John F. Kennedy. Who was the one that believed in you to put you on this road?
That's an amazing question. It's actually a question that I carry so often and really just inspire others around this same question, not just the athlete, but literally the coaches as well.
Yeah.
It's a coach, man, that I credit a lot of my future transition to and a lot of the man that I was able to become through sports, right? Kevin Williams. Kevin Williams was my defensive back coach at Kennedy. He's also been a law enforcement officer for over 25 years in New Orleans. So he was doing both, right? So we had a lot of discipline and just this outlook, I think a passion as well as compassion for the youth. He was a former Kennedy defensive back as well. And football is interesting for me. It found me. I always tell the story. It found me. I didn't find it. So I didn't seek it out. I wasn't trying to play football. It wasn't a thing. I was a music guy. I was a band guy in New Orleans, right, growing up. And so that was my first love. And it wasn't until the second semester of my sophomore year, we was playing at lunchtime, and I was giving it to the guys that was on the team, and he noticed. And was like, man, you should come try out. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, dude, y'all don't win. I can't do it, right? Like, I can't be a part of non-winning culture. And he's like, man, we're turning things around. We have a great team. I'll make a deal.
I'm sure he appreciated your honesty.
He did. He took it personal too, right? He's like, hey, listen, we are doing some things differently, and we have a good team. And he's like, man, when you look at what we've been able to put together, I'll make a deal. If we get a winning season, you come. Day one, went 8-2. I came out the next year, and as they would say, The rest kind of was
history.
Yes.
So you get through Kennedy, and then you go to Grambling State.
Yes.
How was that experience? Same thing. You had that mentor coach.
It was definitely the same thing, and I would even take this back to the time with the coach that I referenced, Kevin Williams, right, under Coach Terry Freeman at the time. But it's so interesting. I played my junior season. That was my first time ever putting on cleats, right, organized football. And I was pretty good, so they say. I still didn't really believe it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a thing for me because, again, that wasn't the dream.
Right. Your passion's music.
My passion was music.
Yeah.
Football was something that was really cool, but it also gave me an opportunity to become a student again and learn. I had been really good at music for a long time, so football was new. And I didn't necessarily see a future in football. I just saw it as a time in the moment in time, right? And I didn't even want to play my senior year. I actually did not go back. Like my senior year, I was like, hey, I'm good, I'm done. And it was the off season going into that year. He kept calling like, Greg, man, you got to come back. I was like, Coach, I'm good, man, I'm done. He's like,
I'll check the box.
Yeah, I was like, he's like, but you have so much potential and talent. I'm like, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
That moment, it was probably this time going into my senior year. It was a week before training camp. He literally came to my house, knocked on my door, and pulled my mom out. I was like, I need you to listen to me. This kid has potential, and I just need him to believe. And he's like, I will get him a scholarship. He has that ability. I listened. My mom forced me. Once she heard scholarship, that was it, right? So she's like, hey, I like what he's saying. He seems very genuine about it, and you don't quit on anything. I'm like, but I'm not quitting. I did it. She's like, yeah, but he sees something that you don't see. You should give it a try. So I went back out my senior year, man, long story short, became all district, all metro, all the things, got a scholarship from then Doug Williams at Grambling State.
Oh, wow.
So that became the second mentor.
You just gave me some chills.
That became the second mentor.
Yeah.
So this kid from New Orleans, only been playing football 2 seasons, went up to an HBCU at Grambling State and embodied that Eddie Robinson legacy.
And all the legacy of the Bayou Classic games. And
that did it. Because remember, I was a band guy.
Oh,
So I
wow.
always went to the Battle of the
Yeah,
Bands.
that's right.
I always went to the Bayou. I grew up on this. And that rivalry was like, oh, I can be a part of this from a different side. So that sold me.
Well, then you enter the NFL as an undrafted free agent.
Yes.
What was that like? Because if you're in the draft, you got that extra confidence, like, okay, I'm one of the so many.
Oh, absolutely.
But now you're undrafted free agent. So
Yes.
who was giving you the confidence at that point?
I would say at that point, it became more spiritual probably than anything. It was alignment. And as I talk about a lot and really teach from an organizational standpoint with universities, teams, even professional teams, football is more than just a game. It's a pathway to becoming. And so for me, it really gave a platform to develop. And you cannot name one football player that has played the game that hasn't met adversity. And when I was in college, I met adversity through injury. I met adversity through coaching changes. I met adversity through becoming a version of myself that had to believe I can do more. And I would say it wasn't necessarily a specific someone. It was internal at that point. And it was to see how far I could go. And how far I could go wasn't going to be just off of talent. It's going to be off of characteristics and attributes. And so being an undrafted free agent, the mindset wasn't for me hey, I'm forgotten about. The mindset was, I'm already playing with house money because I was never even supposed to be this far.
Wow, yeah.
Right? And I think because of that, the legacy tied into understanding Grambling State had at that time the most Hall of Fame football players in the NFL. Think about that. Wow. Right? So I knew what the entity was. I knew what the culture was. And so it was an opportunity for me to carry that forward a little bit differently.
Okay.
So the undrafted mindset was more about you have value before visibility arrives, and sometimes it's about timing and opportunity. And so for me, it was to showcase that HBCU players could still play in the NFL, even if they didn't get that first look.
Yeah, you were coming from a legacy of excellence.
Yes.
And I guess that base allowed you to believe in yourself. And
It did.
oh, it's a great story. You know, you're thinking about what the Saints are going through right now at training camp. You've got not everyone's going to make the team.
No.
What's that mindset? I mean, every day you're trying to prove yourself, right?
Oh yeah. It's this is a vulnerable space that doesn't get the level of exposure that I think it warrants. There are so many football players, and of course football players at this level, that have traversed so many different things. And it's unique because I get an opportunity more often than not. Recently just had the opportunity 3 times in the last month to speak to college coaches, high school football coaches, and tons of different high school football players, probably 500, right? Okay. And the thing that I always ask is, hey, who wants to play professional football? I have never asked that question and seen a kid keep his hand down. And then when I ask the next question, okay, great, how many high school football players play in college? Nobody has the answer, right? So it's over 100,000 high school football players. Less than 10% of them actually go on to play college football. So then when I ask the next question, well, how many college football players make it to the NFL? They're like, I don't know. So you don't even know the numbers game. That's where I'm going. Mm-hmm. It's a numbers game. Mm-hmm. So this is the 1% of the 1%. So imagine being good enough to play in high school, great, and then get to college, do a good job, be on scholarship. Now it's NIL, right? Amazing. And then get to this NFL space, and you're in training camp. And now everybody is as good or better, right? And now it's a numbers game because everybody can't make the team. And that mentality, I always share, this is where I teach about what's called that CHAMP framework, which is a CHAMP, because it's something that's been unlocked over years of sports, specifically a lot of learnings on that Saints Super Bowl championship team, and then life after. It's the attributes and characteristics at some point that becomes the differentiator. Because everybody has talent at the NFL level, but that day-to-day mentality to be able to say, hey, my habits are going to be the determining factor of my outcomes, my mindset, right, that M in CHAMP, because you are competing not just for that day or that team, you're competing for the entire National Football League of opportunities. And I think that gets overlooked sometimes when guys are in training camp.
Yeah, and you go back to your days of having a strong mentor, Kevin Williams, and hoping that every young man that's making his way through this journey has had someone like that, so that when those bad days come, and you don't get the call or the tap on the shoulder, that you have the inner strength or the confidence to say, all right, I'm pulling up my pants, I'm going to go somewhere else, or I'm going to do something else, or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think now your journey, you're going to be a musician, you thought.
Yes, I did.
You kind of get coaxed into playing football. You coming home to play for the Saints. Now, what was that like for you and your family, particularly, and all your buddies that you grew up with, saying, "I knew him when he was at Kennedy."
It's interesting. Oh man, it's interesting because my story has so many twists and turns. I think even going back to the undrafted dynamic, when I was coming out of college, there was an expectation that I would be a late round draft pick. Right, that was the draft analysis, 4th to 7th round.
Okay,
and every scout that I talked to, every coach, like all of the things aligned to that. And the interesting part, I didn't get a combine invite, played an all-star game, did a great job, all of these things. I went to Pro Day. So for Pro Day, I measured in at 5'11" and 5'8" or whatever it was, 190 pounds, bench press 225, 16 times, ran a 4.34 40, 40-inch vertical, all of the things.
Making the numbers.
Right, doing the numbers, doing your part, and didn't get drafted. And there's a story beyond that will probably be for another day, but ultimately I was red flagged for still having a neck injury in college that turned a lot of teams off, and I had no idea. I didn't even find out about that until I had to sign my undrafted rookie contract with the team. And they asked me to do a liability
caveat.
Waiver. Yeah. Say, hey, well, you have to do a liability waiver. And I'm like, what does this mean? The liability that if anything happens to you in your neck and all of the things, we're not liable. Excuse me? Why? It's like, because you never got medically cleared. Oh, what? I went back on the field and everything. What are we talking about? So it was a medical record issue that was never updated. Had no idea. It was actually the first time I told this story in public, right? So that changed the trajectory. But you still have a choice. Remember, adversity follows all of us. And I think about adversity in terms of it's an interview process. It either introduces you to who you really are or introduces you to who you need to be. And that was a great moment for me as a 21-year-old kid to say, okay, well, one, I'm not waiving any liability because sports will never be bigger than my life. Yeah. So I had to literally go take an MRI and do all the things to show I was medically cleared. and then I signed a contract with no liability. But that was a part of the journey, right?
Wow.
And that experience opened the door in my eyes for the business of football. It's like, this is not just putting on the cleats.
Yeah.
That was the first experience that I had. And so I ended up making a decision to get back to New Orleans because I learned a lot about the uniqueness of football and wanted to have a different level of support. And when the Saints called with that opportunity, I was like, man, the opportunity to go back home? How could I pass that up and be back in the Superdome where I've played high school football, where I've played college football? So it was an absolute yes. Man, my family was so elated. My grandfather, he's a diehard Saints fan. And, I mean, God bless his soul. He passed away literally the year I came back to New Orleans. But he was so elated.
During that season?
During that season, to know that I played with his grandson was playing with the Saints. But it was amazing, man. You think about all of the people who invested in you, poured into you, celebrated you as a young high school kid and saw you again in college. To get that reunited feel was amazing.
And I bet Kevin Williams was smiling all the way.
Through and through, because he knows that I love and value the resource that he was, the guidance that he provided. And it's always a part of my story to really celebrate that, because it wasn't just for me. It was for so many others. It's just that my route went to professional sports, whereas some of the others benefited from getting out of trouble, staying focused, staying
like
alive.
You say, he touched a lot of folks.
Lot.
So you're playing with Drew Brees, who's going to the Hall of Fame, as you
On
know.
his way.
That must have been exciting. And then, did you play ever against Drew Brees?
You know, the interesting thing is,
I think I know the answer to that.
twofold, right? Yes, I've seen Drew Brees shred defenses before ever putting on a black and gold, so we'll put it that way. I've definitely in practice had balls zipped by my head that I thought that I would touch and coast and grab one over my head before, right? So you've definitely had those things.
Deep appreciation for Mr. Brees.
A high level of appreciation, because again, I think what unlocked my realization of championship, right? Championship, not the end result, because everybody sees the champ, like, oh, you're crowned. They don't see what goes before it. Mm-hmm. And so I talk a lot about the NFL being a business, but it's the business with the 1%, meaning everybody is great. No matter what you say off the couch, everybody is great, okay? Let's just put that out there. And the question I always ask is, well, if everybody's great, why is it only one team that wins and the other 31 don't?
Yeah.
Right? It's because it goes beyond talent. And I think Drew Brees epitomized what it means to be more than quote unquote talented. The work that he put in, right, off the field, the way that he led, the camaraderie. One of the things that really made that Saints team unique in the championship run was a brotherhood that I had never experienced. I had been on a Saints team prior to 2009, and that locker room was not the same. The environment was not the same. And this is no disrespect to the organization or the coaches or myself and other players, right, but there was a difference, and that's what helped me start to realize the intangibles. One, it was literally no one's bigger or better than the team. Two, no matter whatever happens on the field or off the field, we are united and there will never be a negative vibe. What that looks like is if somebody makes a mistake or makes a bad play, you cannot point out someone criticizing them in a negative way or getting frustrated. It was always encouragement. That's different when you got so many egos. Yeah. You have people competing for livelihoods, feeding families, trying to get contracts, right? Brand deals, all of the things. That was secondary to alignment and brotherhood. And our phrase for that year is, we'll walk together forever, which means nothing can separate us from the mission or each other. And so the irony of when I say like Drew Brees is, this is a guy that was quote unquote wrote off. It's a guy that wasn't tall enough, wasn't strong enough, wasn't talented. It was always the wasn't enough. But that mentality of a champ says it's internal, and you get the opportunity to showcase. And I think the way that he approached the business helped everyone else embody that same mentality. So it was really through and through, from end to end, from the highest guy paid on a team to the lowest guy paid on a team. And we literally spent time with each other every day. It wasn't, hey, practice is over, we're out of here. It was who's got dinner at whose house, are we going out to eat, whose kid has a birthday. It was literally all the time.
Family.
It was family. And you hear that said a lot in sports, but not lived out.
Mm-hmm.
It was lived out through and through. So, yeah, it was a phenomenal experience.
Yeah, the
Taught me a
sense
lot
that
about
we're
leadership.
getting this year is that we're getting that same vibe
Yes.
coming off Airline Drive.
It's interesting you say that because that vibe, for anyone who vividly remembers, you can see it in the preseason. The energy in 2009, the camaraderie, the celebration. You're talking about, I will never forget, I seen Will Smith, God rest his soul,
Yeah.
and Roman Harper running off the sideline while the second and third team guys was on the field making plays. They're running off the sideline, right, like jumping up, dapping. And I was like, I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
Because, again, there was this unity of, like, we're one. And, man, you cannot put a price tag on that, and it goes far beyond the X's and O's.
Yeah. You just painted a beautiful picture. That's wonderful. Thank you. Let's talk about what you're doing now.
Yeah.
You're helping athletes and organization leadership and individuals unlock the champ within. Explain your process and the difference that you're making in many people's lives.
Absolutely. So as a leadership and performance strategist, again, I've had an opportunity to live multiple lives, and I feel very fortunate, right? So as a professional
Forgot to ask
athlete,
you, what musician, what instrument?
trumpet, man, it's trumpet.
All right.
Yeah, I played
Thank you.
trumpet, and then in a marching band, I played.
I
marching
just needed to
F1.
get that out there.
Yeah, so I
All right.
played trumpet. Quick funny story, but I actually played with Doc Cheatham when I was growing
Oh,
up, and all of the things.
Do you still pick it up?
I haven't touched it in a
That
very
aperture, you
long
got that
time.
aperture going there?
It's still there,
It's there,
right?
all right.
After a little bit of time, couple
Never
months,
lose
and
it.
it's boom, you don't lose it.
All right.
But yeah, so I would tell you, having an opportunity to have lived multiple lives and have different experiences has really served me well. So all of the things that I learned in professional sports, high intense business, right? We literally say the NFL stands for not for long, and it's because it's such a pressure cooker environment. So when you mention training camp, it's not just every day, it's every play. Every play is, you have to be
You're trying
giving
out every
in
play.
your best, right?
Yeah.
Because everything is critiqued. And as a football player, especially at the highest level, you develop a sense of understanding and awareness and acceptance that this is par for the course, which means every single snap, the coach's job is to evaluate what you did well and what you didn't on every snap and to give you that feedback in real time. And your job is to be able to compute that, make the adjustment, and perform and execute in real time. And the consequences of that is you'll make the play or not, you'll make the team or not. And once you really, I would say, align to that methodology, it forges a different level of thought process for you because you're self-evaluating at all times, right? And I would tell you that served me extraordinarily well because it amplified my competitiveness. It made me extremely open to receiving feedback, but then my ability to see others the same way, support and provide that critical feedback helped me transition for life after sports.
So applying that to someone who is watching us now, who works in an office or a professional, maybe he or she's an accountant or a physician or electrician or whatever, you're saying that everything that they do each and every day, whether they're fixing something, working on a problem, they're being evaluated.
Yes, and unfortunately, there might not be an evaluator looking over their shoulder or giving them the feedback in real time. One of the examples that I always used when I played professional sports is, we know it's entertainment, we know it's a game. Get it. You sign up for it as an athlete. You have people who are in the stands or at home that what are they doing? They're giving feedback. Oh, great play. Oh, he's terrible. What is he doing? He dropped the ball. The question I always ask is, what would they see, they being us, if there was a camera watching you do your job?
That's right.
What would they have to say?
Yeah.
Right? How would they evaluate the work that you put in, how you prepared, how you showed up? And that methodology is a mindset and a framework. So when you transition that to an electrician or an accountant, the real question is, do you value what you do enough to try to be your very best each and every opportunity that you get to do it? Because you can't coast in football. You can't loaf. You can't take plays off. If you do, you don't have a job or you get hurt. And I think an electrician could resonate with that, right? If you're not being meticulous about how you do what you do, there's a high risk of you getting hurt. So this CHAMP methodology, it's a C is for clarity and character, which means you have to be clear on who you are and what you're about, and your characteristics will be the baseline.
Know yourself.
You have to know yourself, right? The irony is that 85% of people polled say that they are self-aware, but only 15% actually register as self-aware. So we do a lot of that work, right? Again, you can't say, hey, coach, I'm the fastest, biggest, strongest, but then when you get on the field, your play doesn't align to what you say. That's a disconnect. And that's why, pro sports is very, very honest, right?
Yeah.
You don't get to just have an opinion. Yeah. You have to back it up. And there's people that are competing to showcase something different. But then the A is for accountability. That is huge, which means I have to be accountable to whatever comes with me, putting myself in position. I have to be accountable with the work that's required to be the best version of myself. And then I have to be accountable to whatever the outcome is from what I've done, right? The M is for mindset. When we talk about that championship team, the mindset was, we will be great. We will be aligned. We will be unselfish. And then you have to live that out. The P is for purpose. The purpose is the anchor of everything. And so one of the things that I realized through this journey, especially life after sports, and I say this to all of my athletes, especially the pro athletes, because when you've experienced a high level of success, it also brings a high level of responsibility for self. Because when people attach the value of what you do to who you are, it can become a very dangerous life when you no longer do the thing that people valued you doing.
Yeah.
That's where the purpose has to come in. So if you rewind this back to how I started my story, I never sought out the lights. I didn't seek out life of a football player and a professional player. For me, it was always about growing and becoming and being impactful. So I saw every resource that came into my life and every path that it took as an opportunity to really just be the best version of myself. And man, athletes have such a competitive edge in life beyond sports because you're dedicated, because you're disciplined, because you're tenacious, because you are coachable, because you know what it's like to play in a team. Those are transferable skills that specifically when I get the chance to work with athletes, that's the unlocking. It's to allow you to know that you are a great football player because you have these attributes and characteristics. And those same things are valuable in life, not just in sports.
Well, Greg, you're touching so many lives right now and giving people a belief in themselves. So kind of unlocking their own self-portrait, right? Every day you're painting your own portrait. At the end of the day, at the end of your life, you're going to have painted a portrait one way or the other.
Yes.
That's just an amazing talent that you're bringing to bear, and we deeply appreciate that. I just have to say, hometown, your journey, giving back like you're doing is what I think more people should be doing, and you're mentoring a lot of people, kind of writing that roadmap for other people to follow.
It's interesting, and I appreciate that. It humbles me because the light bulb went off for me at one point in time in thinking about what does legacy look like? And legacy isn't about self, it's actually about others. And I think, having an opportunity to navigate these different walks of life, the goal for me is impact. And it's not just impact in words, it's impact in life. And the life part of it is knowing the ability to be coached by someone and the real results that it had on me. I've truly seen coaches save the lives of young men. I've seen professionals develop a young man or a woman into becoming a professional that they never even envisioned, changing their lives. And it's those things of carrying that torch that creates true legacy to leave the place, the world, your environment, your city, your job, right, your locker room better than it was when you found it. And I think that's the part that resonates the most with me, because the identity of us isn't what we do. The identity of us is how we impact.
Yeah, everybody needs someone to believe in them, and you're helping a lot of people by believing in them and giving them some confidence to be better than they started the day.
That's all we can ask.
That's right. So let's end with this question. What's your Saints season look like as far as are you watching it at home or are you at the Superdome?
Yeah.
How do you spend your NFL season?
It's a mixture. So I get to spend my NFL season in a multitude of ways because I work with the NFL. from a speaking and consulting perspective, leadership development, professional development.
And I know you've played on other teams, so I'm saying Saints only because, that's
the
our
team,
home
man.
team,
That
baby.
is the team. But I get to do that work throughout the NFL in locker rooms. So I get to travel to multiple cities, spend time with players, coaches, etc. So it's multifaceted. Specifically for the Saints, I probably attend maybe 4 games a year inside of the Dome. I actually plan to go to Atlanta for the first time. I want to see the Saints Atlanta experience as a fan.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm thinking about traveling to Atlanta this year for that.
It's always a fun game.
And then I love our alumni weekend. So every year we have our alumni weekend as Saints former players, and that's always a great time to see the guys, to hang out, to reminisce, and just pour into the guys that are currently playing as well.
Well, maybe if your time allows, have you come back around Bayou Classic, and we can pit you against a player from Southern.
I would love that.
You might want to recommend somebody that you're happy to talk with.
I will.
And we'll
prognosticate. I have a few guys in mind. We still talk to this day and talk competitive sports.
We'll prognosticate.
But
thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
This has been enlightening and inspiring as well. So continued best wishes, Greg.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today's On the Table segment is presented by Blue Runner Foods, good for your heart and soul. For more than 3 decades, Kim Priez has helped shape the culture, cuisine, and unmistakable spirit of New Orleans with travelers around the world. As Senior Vice President of Tourism at New Orleans & Company, she leads the efforts to grow leisure travel to the city and currently serves as President of the Skull Chapter in New Orleans here. Kim joins us today to talk about COOLinary. COOLinary New Orleans. It's the best time of the year as far as I'm concerned. This is a month-long celebration inviting locals and visitors to explore some of the city's best restaurants. Kim, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
It's great to have you here. COOLinary has become one of New Orleans' signature summer traditions. For someone who has never participated, what makes August such a great time to experience the city through its restaurants?
Well, I believe that we have so many different programs for the locals in the month of August. I mean, as many of you know, August is a slower month because the kids are going back to school, so the conferences kind of take that time off to give their attendees some private time with their children. It's a little tiny bit warm, but guess what? It's warm everywhere, as you have been listening to the news. Yeah. So August is a time for the locals to really explore. We have great programming, and the restaurants, 22 years ago when we started this, the restaurants needed a boost. So what better than to get the locals to come in and experience those fabulous restaurants that people fly into every day, and they're right in our backyard.
Yeah, talk about the growth of the program over the 22 years. You have almost 140 restaurants?
142 restaurants this year. We started with...
That's a record.
It is a record. We started with 38 22 years ago, and it's grown to 142 this year. And it's such a variety of restaurants.
Yeah, talked about some of the new additions this year.
Well, we have a lot of new neighborhoods. We even have one on the North Shore this year. You'll see when you visit the COOLinary website, you'll see different types of restaurants. It'll be casual dining restaurants versus the high-end dining restaurants. So there's a little something for everyone. Yeah. In fact, I can't even memorize all the new restaurants. You have them right there in front of you because I can't remember all of them. But please, try to explore them as well. They're all participating, and their chefs are working up some amazing menus.
Yeah, as I look at your list, American food, Creole food, contemporary food, French food, Japanese, soul food, steakhouse. Oh, it's fantastic. Asian, Italian, Caribbean, a broad range. And you have various price levels, too. Let's talk about those.
Yes. So we have lunch that is $28 or less. So you can have a 2-course lunch for $28 or less. Then we have amazing brunch options, which are, for the brunch, it is $58 or less. And many of the restaurants choose the or less option for brunch. And then dinner is, again, 3-course menu, $58 or less. there's quite a few or less, but the $58 menus, they're serving you a $75 meal for $58. It's amazing. Many of the restaurants give you choices. The best way to decide where you want to go is visit the website, look at the menus, and make sure everyone in your party likes the type of food that you're bringing them to, because they're going to be disappointed they can't participate in COOLinary if they have any dietary restrictions.
That's a great piece of advice.
Yes, indeed.
What's your advice for turning the month into a true dining adventure rather than just simply returning to your old favorite restaurants? I mean, we all have our favorite restaurants, but you've got so many you can choose from.
Oh, my goodness. There's not enough days in the month. Okay, so everyone gravitates to their favorite first. Then they branch out. And so you got to get your favorite in, but then we find that many people, and this is basically because we're looking at the statistics of where people are going, many people are venturing out into some new restaurants. So it's a combination where they're going to get their fix in, their favorite, crab meat beignets or whatever, and then they're going to branch out to look for something new and different.
Yeah. For locals, mapping it out, looking at the weeks that they have ahead of them in August and just figuring out what nights they're going to go to what neighborhood and which restaurant. Yeah. What about that regional traveler that can come in, spend a couple of nights, 3 or 4 nights here, and really make a vacation out of this?
Yes, we even have a summer special where you stay 2 nights and you get a gift card. This is the time for our regional travelers to take advantage of not only the typical discounts for hotels in the month of August, but now you add Museum Month and you add the COOLinary on top of it. There's no better time to be in New Orleans than with regard to being able to really own the city and enjoy the city without any competition of events or a jam calendar. You can explore the city and easily and do it at a discount.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Museum Month. I believe the program is that you belong to one museum and you get admission into more than 30
Correct.
museums.
So if you do buy a membership to one, you get to go to all of them.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, COOLinary is good for us because we're hungry people and we eat, but it also supports the people who work in the restaurants.
Yeah, so the reason why we started this so many years ago is because restaurants had a hard time holding on to their teams during the slow month of August, which was, by the way, it's been a challenging month for many destinations all around the world. August is a challenging month, and so we wanted to make sure that those restaurants were able to hold on to their wait staff and their core team by having the locals go and fill the gap while the visitors were attending to their kids going back to school. And it caught on. And the funny thing is it started as a week. Well, it wasn't enough time. You can't eat enough in 1 week. So we decided to make it a month, and you still can't eat. There's still not enough time to eat. So I'm so glad that we moved it to a month, because people, by the time it started, it was over, and people didn't get a chance to get their favorite restaurants in.
And then what they don't make this time around, they can plan for next year's
Oh, absolutely.
COOLinary, because I have a feeling it's going to be back again.
As long as the restaurants need it and the locals enjoy it, it is going to be back.
Yeah, talk to us about the ways that a diner can explore the options, make reservations, and get the most out of the month.
Well, I recommend that you go to neworleans.com, go to the COOLinary section of the site, which is right on that homepage, and start exploring the menus. There's even a fun little spin wheel. So if you really don't know where you want to start, you can spin the wheel and it'll point to a restaurant. It kind of makes it a little bit of fun, but ultimately you're going to want to look at the restaurants you're most interested in, and you're going to look at their menus. And it's there's so many to choose from. There's over 250 menus to look at. So narrow it down to the types of food you want, the neighborhoods you want, and go exploring. But be careful, because it'll make you hungry. The minute you start reading these menus, you're going to get hungry.
You've got a great team behind this. Talk about the planning. What goes into the planning of something like this?
We do. We start 6 months out. to prepare for COOLinary. We have a team of 4 that are taking the calls from the restaurants, gathering their menus, making sure that everything is correct on the website, answering any questions that the restaurants have, that the patrons have. It's a very important project for New Orleans and Company, and so we want to make sure that it works really well. We even added cocktails. When we turned 21 last year, we added cocktails.
That makes sense.
And the cocktails, we're up to 14 cocktail establishments. They enjoyed it so much last year that we've tripled the number of cocktail establishments this year.
How does it work with cocktails? I mean, we know how the restaurants work with the food, but with cocktails and COOLinary.
Okay. So when we turned 21 last year, we decided to add cocktails, and the cocktail establishment offers a discount, well, not even a discount, a high value special on cocktails with nibbles. So it's each one of them has a different offering. Unlike the prefixed, you need to visit that establishment's website. On our website, it'll take you to their website. You can see what kind of specials they're offering. Some are fixing or creating new cocktails. Some are offering different things off their menu. It's been very popular. In fact, now we're up to 40 cocktail establishments.
Fantastic. Congratulations on that. Let's talk about some other things that you're involved in. I mean, COOLinary is a big part of your world, but you've got other big pieces of your world out there too. We've got IPW coming in. Explain to the viewers what IPW is.
So I oversee the team that pursues leisure travelers on the group and international side, so domestic and internationally. We have the opportunity to host 5,000 individuals at a conference called IPW, and what that stands for is International Powwow. It is an opportunity for us to meet with high quality tour operators and travel buyers from around the world who are selling America. So this conference moves from different cities, and New Orleans was able to obtain 2027. We are going to showcase our city and tell them why they need to add New Orleans to their programming from the minute they get off the plane to the minute they return back to the airport. We are going to give them the New Orleans Southern hospitality that only New Orleans can do. And these visitors, these attendees are from 60 countries. Wow. We are going to have one-on-one appointments with them. We're going to take them around the city and showcase the city. And this particular conference usually increases our international travelers for about 10% every year for 3 to 4 years. So that's a substantial increase in visitors and the reason why is many of the buyers of travel are selling New Orleans, but they've never stepped foot in New Orleans. So they're selling a city they have never been to. When they come here and they fall in love with New Orleans, they're going to go back and sell it even more.
That's wonderful. And you've done a couple of these already, haven't you?
Many. So I've been
More than a couple.
I've been at New Orleans and Company for a very long time. This is going to be the 5th one for the city. I did not do the first one. It was in '79, and I was still in school. But this will be our 5th one, and we do it every 10 years because it is quite an undertaking. But we are one of the smallest cities in the United States that have ever hosted it, which means we definitely punch above our weight. We compete with the Los Angeleses and the Chicagos and Orlando. This is something that when New Orleans is on the calendar, the clients call me and tell me, I am not missing this one. I'm coming to this particular
with the
conference.
reputation that you've created for the way New Orleans and Company has rolled these out, I think speaks for itself. And people want to come because they know they're going to have a great time.
The last one was a record breaker. I don't know how we're going to outdo what we did.
Raise the bar again here.
I know, so I'm going to need everyone's help in the city to help us welcome these individuals because it's going to be, it's really the people that make New Orleans a unique destination, our culture and our people. Yeah. Everyone, we've heard many people say, I cannot miss New Orleans because I feel at home there.
Yeah, and as you said earlier, we compete with the bigger cities, and it's very competitive. I know you're out traveling all the time, not only across the country but across the world, putting New Orleans up front to these travel brokers and planners. And Thank you for doing that. I know it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time.
Thank you. It's a labor of love for our team. They really enjoy it. We've made many friends across the world, and these friends are very loyal, and they stay in the business for a long time.
Yeah. You also have time to do some volunteer work. Talk about your leadership with SCAL, and to our viewers what SCAL is.
Yes. So SCAL is an organization that was formed, oh my goodness, I want to say almost 100 years, no, probably over 100 years ago, in Scandinavia. And it's an organization of travel professionals. So, everybody has their clubs or organizations. Well, this one is all about hospitality and hospitality leadership. It's nice to have a place to go and have a conversation with like-minded people. And that's what SCAL's all about. And we have an amazing club here in New Orleans. It's one of the larger clubs in the world. And we get a chance to just once a month get together. We fundraise. We meet amongst ourselves. Right. Mark's part of SCAL as well. And it's got a long, in fact, the New Orleans chapter is over 75 years old now.
Wow. Yeah. It's good. It's had a great line of leaders as well.
It has,
including yourself as president.
Thank you.
Well, it's an exciting time to be in New Orleans. It's an exciting time to eat in New Orleans. Thank you so much for what you're doing with COOLinary. As you said, you can find information at neworleans.com. Enjoy the spinning wheel. Take advantage of these 142 restaurants and over 40 cocktail establishments. Yes. And how many days do we have in the month of August?
Not enough.
Not enough, but that's right. You can always make a plan for next year as well.
I'm going to one tonight. So.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you. Deeply appreciate you and your team, and I'm glad you mentioned the team because you've got a great group of team members over there.
Thank you. Well, you're part of the team as well.
This is On the Table segment, which was presented by Blue Runner Foods, good for your heart and soul. Thank you again for joining us. And people, get out and do COOLinary. This is the time to do it. And also visit a couple of museums while you're at it. Welcome to 5 Minutes With. This is presented by New Orleans and Company. Today we're joined by Dr. David Houghton. He's the System Chair of Neurology at Ochsner Health. He's here to tell us about the new Deborah H. and Robert J. Patrick Neuroscience Institute, which opens later this fall, and why this transformational project could change the future of brain health and neurological care for families, not only here in Louisiana, but across the Gulf South. Dr. Houghton, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
So good to see you again. When people hear Neuroscience Institute, they may think it's just another hospital building. We know that's not right. What makes the Patrick Neuroscience Institute such a significant investment? Again, not only for Ochsner, but as I said earlier, for the entire Gulf South.
I like to say that we're building much more than a building. It's 5 stories right there on Jefferson Highway, and it's dedicated to all the neurosciences: neurology, neurosurgery, behavioral health and psychiatry, rehabilitation and physical medicine. And the whole first floor is really dedicated to neurorestoration and rehabilitation. So in one-stop shopping, if you will, our patients in this community will have a beacon of hope and health right there on Jefferson Highway.
And this is the first time this has ever happened in our community, in our state.
Absolutely. And it's a 10-year vision that's coming to reality. I'm fortunate this next month I will have been at Ochsner for 14 years myself, and it's been really exciting to watch this transform and think about what that means, not just for this community, for the Gulf South, and actually to be able to take care of patients across the country.
You know, when we were thinking about inviting you to be on the show, and we were talking with the crew about what all of us are experiencing as family members and friends, and with everyone going through it, whether it's a parent, a grandparent, spouse, facing Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or any one of the other diseases. What will this institute mean for keeping the level of care right here in home in this area, as opposed to having to travel across the country?
That's exactly our purpose, Mark. And what you're saying is what all of our patients and patient families and our own families are feeling. You mentioned Alzheimer's disease, the number 1 neurodegenerative disease in the country. Parkinson's, number 2, and is actually rising faster than Alzheimer's disease. We have dedicated space in there with great partnerships like Cognito Therapeutics to try to slow down the progression of Alzheimer's disease, with Team Gleason to try to create more assistive technologies and bend the curve for ALS. We've got an MS center that's been highly funded and highly prominent in the research world already. And the list goes on. The whole purpose of that institute is to really put all of the most able-bodied and technologically savvy people all in the same place so that we can treat diseases entirely differently than we used to.
And the sharing of research that will happen across all floors, it's going to be so dynamic.
It's second to none. And the good news is that we've already established all of the parts and pieces that have gone into that institution, but it's been done really over the years with individuals. Now the individuals get the space, they get to work shoulder to shoulder, they get to have the opportunities to really collaborate better. And when that happens, we know something special happens.
Yeah, let's talk about the level of care that families and patients will experience when they come to the Neuroscience Institute. This is sort of a hallmark of Ochsner, but speak to what they will experience when they come through.
Yeah, the design, the level of care there will be one in which the patients will have a continuity, a journey that feels like nothing else they've had before, with a first floor that has augmented reality and virtual reality. It's got a gait laboratory. We have allied health professionals like physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists. We have a dedicated music therapy space. We've got a therapy pool. We've got an outdoor garden. All of that is used to sort of create the best tranquility in neurorestoration for our patients so that an office visit that you would expect to have anywhere else is going to feel completely and totally different. And that's the design.
All ages?
All ages, yeah. We have a pediatric neurology group. Their building is actually right across the street. We're building a new pediatrics hospital across the street from there. But we have overlapping and multidisciplinary visits for patients with pediatric neurology all together on the same campus.
That's great. That's beautiful. Some of the technology planned for the Institute sounds like it's out of the future. I mean, you're talking about virtual reality, as you mentioned, advanced rehabilitation to what Steve Gleason and his team Gleason Assistive Technology Lab. Which innovations are you most excited about?
Yeah, I'll highlight a couple of those innovations. One of the most interesting one is the way that Team Gleason is positioned inside our building on the first floor. Now there's essentially a mocked up kitchen and bedroom where patients with ALS can utilize and try out all the different technologies, use that to try to create a greater model for other diseases too. People after strokes, people after traumatic brain injuries, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, all of them can benefit from assisted technologies. So our experience with Tim Gleason and what we're able to advance for ALS is one that will take that same model to other diseases. And that relationship then builds on our future connections with things like brain-computer interfaces. This is the ability to be able to move your body away from the nervous system that has been devastated by something like ALS. It's really exciting stuff.
Yeah. You mentioned the gait lab. Speak to us
Sure.
about that.
We've got a combination gait lab there that's been created. So one of them is, you may have recognized before, where it looks like you got ping pong balls or little puff balls stuck on you, and you can see in front of something akin to a green screen how somebody is walking, and use that to help diagnose and treat the problems that may result in poor balance, increased fall risk, and progression of disease. In addition to that, we've partnered with a company called Exer.ai, Exer.ai. It's a company that has created something similar to that, where you just have to use an iPad or an iPhone to capture somebody's natural gait or their tremor or other movements. We're going to be able to compare and contrast that technology to what is also a larger gait lab technology while we're there.
And I imagine it's just not focused on the patient, but you're also educating the family members or the caregivers around the patient.
That's so true. That education piece and the ability of our patients to be able to be sort of looked upon and taken care of by family or other paid caregivers is critical for their wellness. More than anything else, we want to avoid complications with neurology. We want to keep patients out of the hospital. Right. We want them to come see us in our building and not have to go across the street to one of the several hundred beds that we have. And to be able to avoid those hospitalizations, those ER visits, those broken hips, those infections, all of that comes down to rehabilitation and to be able to really work through that.
Yeah. You know, I think as this building opens this fall, it becomes this beacon of hope. That there could be answers, and maybe even if there's not a definitive answer, that there's hope along this journey that someone's having. So to me, it's just a special gift that's going to be part and parcel of all the research that you're doing. When people do hear diagnoses like Alzheimer's or ALS, I'm sure it can feel overwhelming. What the research is doing now that's changing that conversation today? What is that about? I mean, how should people be seeing what this potential could look like, but knowing that the Neuroscience Institute's there for them?
That's a great question, because when somebody comes in with a simple symptom or may seem simple to them, a little tremor, for instance, that might signify Parkinson's disease, or they're starting to get more forgetful and repeat their stories at home and lose their keys, that might signify Alzheimer's. What you see when you come to see someone at Ochsner, or you have a digital visit or a virtual visit, is a team that's really put together to come up with the highest level of diagnostic certainty using things like biomarker technology from blood tests, spinal fluid studies, advanced brain imaging, but then taking it to that next level of treatment options that aren't just the ones that are FDA approved, although we lead in that push, but also being part of clinical trials. And we've had a clinical trials unit in neurology that has been robust for the last decade. This is going to allow that engine to continue to burn and be able to take care of even more patients with newer innovations.
Yeah, for years people have had to leave Louisiana to find hope, but now they're going to be able to be here. Though Ochsner has been providing care across these various diseases for years. Now under one roof, it's amazing.
That's exactly what the design was and is. And to think, so I got here, like I said, about 14 years ago, and I was one of 10 neurologists that joined, and now we have more than 80. We've got more than 40 advanced practice providers. We've got a robust neurosurgical group. We've got work in behavioral health and psychiatry, physical medicine, rehabilitation. The work that we do in the hospital with things like neurocritical care is so important for our patients. To have it all together so that we're not having to go to Houston or Atlanta or Jacksonville or somewhere else is really exciting for this community.
You got to be so proud of what's ahead, right?
We really are, and it couldn't be done without Bobby and Deborah Patrick, who made a transformational gift to be able to help push this up, but also many others who are very important philanthropists and benefactors to our Neuroscience Institute, and without them, this wouldn't be a reality.
Yeah. Let's do a little visioning, if you don't mind.
Sure. Let's
look ahead 10 years. What do you see? What's happened in 10 years?
Well, the fifth floor is still just a shell, Mark. So I sooner than that, about a third of it is HVAC, which is really important in New Orleans. But the other 2/3 will obviously be building that. And it's my understanding from the engineers is we can put some more stories on top too, which is pretty exciting. Yeah. But I think practically what we're going to see is that this community is a leader. This community is one in which, as you suggest, nobody has to leave. We're able to work across the region. We're able to think nationally about what even neurologic tourism looks like. Who wouldn't want to come to Ochsner Health in 5 years after what we've been able to create? And to be able to lead that is really an exciting time for me and for all of my colleagues.
That's great. All right, let's have a little fun here.
Okay.
Ochsner and the Saints had a great relationship. I have to ask you, if you were going to build your Saints Mount Rushmore, what would it look like?
So number one, Steve Gleason, great partner to us, obviously, and stricken with a devastating disease. But his no white flags attitude, both on the field and off, is an inspiration. After that, I'm going to go quarterbacks. We're going to go Drew Brees, Bobby Hebert, and Archie Manning. Okay. I'm not going to say who's QB1. We'll let your viewers decide that. But three great ones to pick from.
Yeah. I see the Ice Challenge is back.
Ice Challenge is back. Ochsner's excited.
We're going to see one in your future.
Absolutely, and with weather like what we've been having this summer already, it's a welcome challenge to many of us. We don't mind doing the ice bath challenge all the time.
Yeah. So you're working literally for 24/7. But what do you do to take a break and relax with your family?
So actually, I joke to people that in neurology, so much of what we take care of is a marathon, right? You make a diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease, you're going to be taking care of people for years, trying to bend the curve and improve their life, oftentimes little by little, or Parkinson's or MS or other things. When I start a meal and I can get it done in 30 minutes, I sort of feel like I'm on that chopped kitchen in my own home.
Yeah.
And so our surgeons, they're sort of like chefs. They don't have to have that outlet like I do, but For me, not being a surgeon, I like to cook and love to spend time with my boys and my wife. My wife and I will be married 27 years this week.
Very good.
And,
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And the time that we get to spend together, particularly as they're aging, one's heading off to college next year and one's going to be a senior in high school, time is a thief. And so as much time as I can spend with them, the better.
Well, then we'll end it with asking your favorite date night with your wife.
So that's a great question.
Because she's going to be listening.
She is listening.
And she's
yes.
taking notes.
That's right. So I'm going to go 2. So I love to go out and eat for this. And so because often with my schedule and her schedule, our date nights are underplanned, I would suggest, we end up at one of the finer restaurants, bars, sitting for 2 right up there and eating at the bar. Saba is one of our favorites because, again, we can walk there pretty easily. But the new restaurants on Ferret have really excited us. If she had her druthers, it's go to the movies. My wife and I have been movie files for years. She more than I, and so a weekend doesn't go by where she doesn't say we have to go see this film. We have to go see this movie.
Like the Broad or Britannia or AMC.
Almost always Britannia. Yeah. Got to support the locals.
It's a nice atmosphere at the Britannia Theater.
It's a perfect night for us.
Yeah, we need to have them on the show and talk about what they've done with theatrical.
It's a great
pieces.
place.
Really good. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us. This is such an important topic for so many families. And what's happening with Ochsner and the fact that y'all have planted the flag and this beautiful building opens up later this fall. I know how appreciative y'all are of the Patrick family and what they've done and all the other sponsors and donors that have stepped up to make this Neuroscience Institute shape the future for a lot of families. So thank you so much for that, Doctor.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. And ladies and gentlemen, to learn more about Ochsner Health's neuroscience services and the new institute, visit ochsner.org. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Doc.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
And now, as usual, let's go to April Dupree to find out what's happening this week in New Orleans.
Thanks so much, Mark. Here's where to eat, drink, and of course, play this week in New Orleans. August in New Orleans means it's time to eat well and score some deals while you do it. COOLinary is back through the end of the month with more than 120 restaurants offering special lunch, dinner, and brunch menus around the city. So if there's a restaurant you've been meaning to try, this is the month to make it happen. Start with Good Catch, where the COOLinary menu leans into Thai flavors with options like tom kha soup, pad Thai, papaya salad, and more. At Delacroix restaurants on the riverfront, look for southern favorites like cornbread mock chu, fried catfish, shrimp and pork stuffed bell pepper, and others. For something Italian-inspired, Bruto Americano is serving a 3-course dinner with options like caprese salad, lasagna, cacio e pepe, and bananas foster tiramisu. You can also check out Bourbon House for oh-so-fresh watermelon and tomato salad, black and Gulf shrimp, or grilled Gulf fish, or head to Mother of Pearl for a dinner menu with crawfish bowl croquettes, brioche crusted fish, and sweet potato flan. To make it a full night out, Common House has a COOLinary dinner menu with offerings like steamed buns, braised short rib, and espresso pot de creme. This month, participating restaurants and bars are offering 2 drinks and 2 bites for $35 or less. For a classic stop, try Antoine's or Two Sisters on Bourbon. If you want more of a patio moment, look at Sidecar Patio and Oyster Bar or Birdie's Behind the Bower. Cure and Revel Cafe and Bar are good picks for cocktail lovers, while Costera, Osteria Lupo, and Tito's Ceviche and Pisco give you a good reason to pair something great in a glass with something small from the kitchen. You can also check out NOLA Brewing and Pizza Co. if beer is more your speed, or Merrill and Burkett if you're trying to keep things close to the warehouse district. With that many options, it's a good month to try a new bar, revisit an old favorite, or let the bites lead you to your next round. On Thursday, the New Orleans Ernst in Royale Convention Center kicks off Porchside Performances, a free concert series on the Heritage Porch. The first show is this Thursday featuring Big Sam's Funky Nation. On Friday night, Tipitina's Free Friday concert series continues with Flow Drive. Then on Saturday morning, don your coolest red dress for the Red Dress Run presented by the Hash House Harriers. Runners take over the Marigny and the French Quarter for the annual charity race benefiting local nonprofits. And on Saturday night, trade the red for last week's white linens. Dirty Linen Night takes over Royal Street with galleries opening their doors, live music in the streets, and a block party stretching throughout parts of Royal. It's the French Quarter's more relaxed, more imperfect answer to White Linen Night, so bring out that linen one more time and let it live a little. For more information on where to eat, drink, and play this week in New Orleans, visit neworleans.com. Back to you, Mark.
Thanks, April. And now for something positively New Orleans. One of the many reasons people around the world visit the city is simple. It's the food. Ours is a city where culture is expressed through cuisine, where recipes are passed down through generations, and where every meal tells a story about who we are. And that is exactly why the culinary program has become such an important part of New Orleans' culinary and tourism landscape. Produced by New Orleans & Company, COOLinary is a celebration of the restaurants, chefs, and hospitality professionals who make New Orleans one of the greatest food destinations on earth. Each year, more than 100 outstanding restaurants across the city participate by offering special price lunch, brunch, and dinner menus that make it easier than ever for locals and visitors alike to experience the very best of our dining scene. The program delivers tremendous value to diners, but it also serves a much larger purpose. COOLinary helps drive business during the summer months, bringing customers through the doors of restaurants, large and small, from neighborhood favorites to nationally recognized dining establishments. It supports chefs, servers, bartenders, kitchen staff, farmers, fishermen, and countless others whose livelihoods depend on a vibrant hospitality industry. What makes COOLinary especially successful is that it encourages exploration. Diners have the opportunity to try a new restaurant, revisit an old favorite, or experience a special menu at a very reasonable price point. It reminds us that some of the finest dining experiences in America can be found right here in New Orleans. We owe a great deal of gratitude to the team at New Orleans & Company for creating and promoting this program year after year. Their efforts help showcase the incredible talent of our culinary community while generating meaningful economic activity for restaurants throughout the city. COOLinary is more than a restaurant promotion. It is an investment in one of New Orleans' greatest cultural assets, our food. It strengthens businesses, supports jobs, attracts visitors, and reminds all of us why New Orleans remains one of the world's truly great culinary capitals. So whether you're a visitor or a lifelong resident, I encourage you to pull up a chair, try something new, and celebrate the flavors that make our city so special. And that's positively New Orleans. That's our show for this week. Thanks to our incredible guests and to all of you for watching and listening. And a special thanks to our sponsors, Blue Runner Foods, Bienville Capital Group, New Orleans & Company, our friends at Visit the North Shore, and their podcast, All the Waves. Go check it out. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for all of our new videos. We'll see you next week.